If you're thinking about moving to Atlanta, one of the first things that you should know about is the location of Atlanta in relation to the rest of Georgia. Atlanta is kind of on the northern part of the state of Georgia, so we're very close to some of the North Georgia mountains. We're also about 4 to 5 hours from the coast in Savannah. And overall, the population of Metro Atlanta is about 6 million people. However, most of the people who live in Metro Atlanta live in the suburbs around the city of Atlanta. The city of Atlanta itself only has about 500,000 people, so that means that 5.5 million people live in one of the suburbs around the city. Some of the main roads that run through Metro Atlanta is the interstate system. We have Interstate 75 and Interstate 85. They kind of run diagonally through all of Metro Atlanta. We also have Highway 400 and Interstate 20 and Interstate 285. Interstate 285 kind of goes in a circle around the city of Atlanta. I know we do have a whole lot of traffic here in Atlanta, and a lot of people love to talk about the amount of traffic that we have here in Atlanta. A pro tip, 285 is one of the main ways that you can kind of get around the interstate traffic in the city of Atlanta. 285 is commonly used by the locals to kind of get around that traffic. Generally speaking, the suburbs on the northern part of Metro Atlanta tend to be more populated than the suburbs on the south side. On the south side is less people, there's less traffic, less congestion. You're having a lot more like wide open spaces there, more lot sizes for your homes. And on the north side of Metro Atlanta, there's going to be more people, a little bit more congested there on the north side of Metro Atlanta. Also, the schools are going to be a little bit better on the north side. The job opportunities are going to be more plentiful on the north side of Metro Atlanta. So overall, the north side is certainly a more popular place to live than the south side, but the south side also has its benefits. For many people who are considering moving to the city of Atlanta, a common question is, do I want to live in the city of Atlanta or do I want to live in the suburbs? Those two certainly have a very different feel. Of course, if you were thinking about moving to either the city of Atlanta or one of the suburbs, you can call me or text me or email me anytime. I'm more than happy to help. I'm so thankful for everyone who has reached out. My favorite thing to do is help people get acquainted with the Metro Atlanta area. So the city of Atlanta is certainly a more urban feel. It's going to be more of an inner city kind of feel. And that is really what many people are looking for. They want to be right there in the middle of like all of the action. Like they want to be super close to work and they want to be having plenty of things to do, plenty of places to go out to eat. And like that's what really the city of Atlanta feels like. You're never very far from things to do or a grocery store or possibly work when you're in the middle of Atlanta. Midtown is a really great part of the city of Atlanta to live in. Some of the main roads that run through Midtown are 17th Street, 14th Street, and 10th Street. That's kind of the middle of the city of Atlanta. And that's where really there are a ton of things to do right around there. Some popular things to do in the city of Atlanta are Piedmont Park, which is one of the largest parks in all of Atlanta. Also, they have Atlantic Station, which is there in Midtown. In the downtown part of Atlanta, we have the Georgia Aquarium, we have the Coke Factory. Also, the Fox Theater is a really popular place to see shows there in downtown Atlanta. But overall, there's really like a never-ending amount of things to do in the city of Atlanta. The city of Atlanta is one of the fastest growing cities in all of the United States, and there's no wonder why, with the amount of tax incentives that we have and the amount of jobs that we have and the lower cost of living here in Atlanta, it's becoming a very popular city, and many people from other states in the country are moving to the city of Atlanta. And then we have the suburbs around the city of Atlanta, which are a very different feel than like the inner city part of Atlanta. The suburbs are what you would typically imagine like in a suburban part of town. You know, there's not people on top of each other. There's not nearly as many sidewalks. So the suburbs tend to not be as walkable. You're not going to walk to the grocery store when you're living in the suburbs. It would be a very long walk. So the suburbs are very different. This is where you would need a vehicle to kind of get around in the suburbs. The public transportation does not really go out to the suburbs of Atlanta. The public transportation in Atlanta is called MARTA, and MARTA does go into the suburbs a little bit, but I wouldn't rely on it. It's not really great. In general, MARTA's not even good in the city of Atlanta. So in the suburbs, you certainly would need a vehicle to get around. Okay, enough of the basics about Atlanta. Let's talk about what you really want to know, which is if you live in another state, how do you home search in the state of Atlanta? Like if you're not here in Atlanta physically, how do you properly get a feel for what the homes look like and purchase a home here in Georgia if you're not in Georgia? And then also, if you own a home and you're selling a home in another state, how do you sell a home in another state and purchase a home in Georgia simultaneously without it getting too complicated? So let's talk about those two questions. The first one, which is how do you search for a home in Atlanta if you're not in Atlanta? One of the things that we do here at Living in Atlanta is we do FaceTime or we do Zoom calls or we'll do WhatsApp. So we'll kind of do like a video tour of the home. We connect with the people who are looking to buy a home here in Metro Atlanta. We'll kind of come up with a few different homes that they're interested in or that they want to see. And then once we have a list, I will go out to those homes and I'll FaceTime you or Zoom call you so that you can see the home and tour it with me on the video platform that we're using. This will give you a much better idea of the layout of the home and of the feel of the home, even though you're not there personally. And then of course, I would be there to kind of explain, oh, this part of the home is very unusual. This kind of is an awkward part of the home, or this is a great part of the home, and kind of give you an idea of what the home feels like. In addition to that, another tool that is super helpful for many people who are purchasing a home in Atlanta who don't live in Atlanta is the inspection period. Once the buyer and the seller agree on a purchase price for a home, they go under contract, and there's right off the bat, we have an inspection period that's typically about 7 days. During that 7-day period, you would have a home inspector go out to the home and check it out. Also, during that 7-day inspection period, you can terminate that contract for any reason at all. So many times people will use that inspection period time to come into town, view the home in person after they've seen it online and they've done a video walkthrough. They'll come and they'll see the home in person during the home inspection to really determine if that's the home that they want to purchase. If for any reason during that in-person inspection of the home, you decide, oh, no, this is not really the one, there's something unexpected here, you can terminate that contract and not move forward. But if it turns out to be what we saw online and what you saw in the video tour of the home, then we would continue with that contract. And so that's really a very useful tool for many people who are relocating to the city of Atlanta. And then there's also the question of selling a home in one state and relocating to Atlanta. So what we use in that situation is a home sale contingency. What that means is that when you go under contract for a home that you're purchasing, we will include in your contract a contingency that says you're not obligated to purchase that home unless the home that you are selling sells before the closing date of the one that you're purchasing. I know that's super complicated. Let's break it down a little bit. So if you're moving from Florida to Georgia and you are purchasing a home here in Georgia and the close date is January 31st, you are not obligated to purchase that home if your home in Florida does not sell by January 31st. And you're allowed to terminate that contract penalty free. You have no obligation. You don't have to lose your earnest money. You would even get your initial deposit back for purchasing the home so that you are not obligated to purchase that home. And that's really like the best tool that we use to assist people who are making that transition from selling one home in another state and purchasing a home here in Metro Atlanta. Typically, the home search process here in Atlanta takes about 60 to 90 days. Those first couple months are just made up of searching for the home online and viewing homes in person or on video. And then once you agree on a purchase price with a seller, that contract period is about 30 days. That initial 7 days is the inspection period. And then the following 2 or 3 weeks is made up of the lender making sure that you can afford the loan that you are trying to take out to purchase the home. And then the last about week or so is the closing attorney making sure that the home can be sold to the new buyer. Once all of those things are confirmed, then everybody shows up at the closing table and signs to transfer possession of the home into the new owner's name. The city of Marietta has 80,000 people. I believe the city of Alpharetta, which is another suburb around Atlanta, has about 75,000 people. So there's also a lot of things to do in these suburbs as well. The most popular suburbs around the city of Atlanta tend to be the ones that are off of the interstate. So they have interstate access to and from the city of Atlanta. So Marietta is off of Interstate 75. Alpharetta is off of Highway 400, which is really just like an interstate. The city of Suwanee is off of Interstate 85. And I believe one of the reasons why this is so common is because it allows people to get to work from the suburbs. While many people live in the suburbs of Atlanta, many people also work in the city of Atlanta. And this is one of like the main reasons why we have such bad traffic in Atlanta. It's because so many people are driving into the city of Atlanta in the mornings and then back out to the suburbs in the evenings. So because that's so common, the interstate systems tend to get congested during rush hour. Overall, some of the best suburbs around Atlanta are cities like Marietta, Alpharetta, Suwanee. Those really have excellent school qualities. There's also Roswell is a great suburb, has very good schools. The city of Woodstock is one of my favorites. Very good home values. The school rating there is not a 10 out of 10. It's more like an 8 out of 10. But the home values there in Woodstock really make up for the school qualities. And then also the amount of community that you can find there in the city of Woodstock is great. Keep in mind that many of the suburbs, almost all of the suburbs really around Metro Atlanta, have like a city center. Like Marietta has downtown Marietta, Alpharetta has downtown Alpharetta, Woodstock also has like a downtown area. And this is really where like most of the shopping and most of the community kind of comes together in that area. So something to really take a look at if you're thinking about moving to one of those suburbs, you kind of want to see what does that downtown area or that city center area look like. On the south side of Metro Atlanta, some really good suburbs are Peachtree City, Noonan, also McDonough is a very good one. If you want to know more about what the best suburbs are in all of Metro Atlanta, click on this video. I'll see you there.